This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, we're learning Sefer Zecharia. Last week we discussed the pasuk Daled. Pasuk Gimel we discussed, where it says 3 times Hashem Tzvakos. And the Abarbanel mentioned that Hashem Tzvakos is a very common refrain in Sefer Zecharia. And we mentioned the significance of Hashem Tzvakos, and that is, the Abarbanel explained it was a reference to the 12 Shvatim. And Klal Yisrael was in Golos, and perhaps that term, Hashem Tzvakos, one would think did not apply fully, because after all, only Shevet Yehuda was in Eretz Yisrael. And the Abarbanel basically learned that Hashem was saying He will once again be the God of all the Shvatim. All the Shvatim could come back. God will have special Hashgacha Pratis to all the Shvatim. Just want to mention that last Wednesday we learned from the Rogachover, and if you didn't hear Wednesday's shir, please take a look at it. Rogachover made a point of the fact that Gittin is something that a human being does not accomplish, only Hashem accomplishes. And he quotes a Yushalmi that says that Goyim do not have the Koyach HaGerushin. Goyim can't divorce. There's no Gerushin by Goyim, only by Yisrael. And he brought a raya from the Yushalmi that the Yushalmi says, by everything else it says Hashem Tzvakos, except for by Gittin it says Hashem Elokei Yisrael. And from there the Yushalmi learns that by Gittin only God could perform for a Jew, but not for Goyim. So from there we see another interesting idea of Hashem Tzvakos, and that is Hashem Tzvakos refers to God's control of the Goyim also. Now why in Sefer Zecharia it would mention Hashem Tzvakos, according to this, I don't know, that's something we should keep in mind. Okay? So now let's go to Pasuk Zayin. And we said we're going to come back to Pasuk Zayin. Mirz Hashem, we will. B'yom Esrim B'Arba, on the 24th day, La'ashtei Asar Chodesh, of the 11th month. What month is the 11th month? Shvat. So the 24th day of the 11th month, Hu Chodesh Shvat, B'Shnas Shtayim L'Daryavesh, in the second year of Darius, Haya Dvar Hashem, Al Zecharia, Ben Berech Yahu, Ben Idai Hanavi Lamar. And last week we pointed out that the Sefer began B'Chodesh Hashmini, in the 8th month. Which is the 8th month? Cheshvan. And there also it says it was in the second year of Darius, so this is 3 months later. And there also it gave the lineage of Zecharia ben Berechia ben Idai. So the first question we have to address is, why is it giving his lineage again? It's true we haven't seen it for 2 weeks, but that's not a reason for the Navi to repeat the same information again.
So here it says Yahu and Edo, Malay Vav and Vav, Berechia and Edo. So it's talking about something different, obviously.
Now in the first Nevuah, it gave you the year and the month, but did not give you the date. And here it gives you the date, the 24th day of Chodesh Shvat.
So it identifies the month, and the first it didn't identify the month. Right.
So the first time it says the 8th month, and it doesn't say the 8th month is Chodesh Cheshvan. And here it says the 11th month, and it tells you the month is Chodesh Shvat. So why are all these discrepancies here? So we did not address it yet. Now, before we do, I want you to look back in Sefer Chagai. I believe it's Parak Beis, Pasuk Yud Ches. And there the Pasuk says, the day that they put up the second Beis HaMikdash. Simun alavavchem. Pay attention. Min hayom hazev v'mala, from this day and on. Miyom esrim v'arba, from the 24th day. Latshi, of the 9th month. L'men hayom asher yusad heichal Hashem, from the day that the temple of God was founded. Simu lavavchem. Pay attention. So that means the Beis HaMikdash, the second Beis HaMikdash, went up when? The 24th day of Kislev. And this is now the 24th day of Shvat. Exactly.
That means construction began?
Yeah. So this is exactly 2 months later. How many days? Malei Chaser, 59 days later. Okay, so Rabbi said, please take a look at the sheet. I'm going to pass down. Taking is mandatory. Taking is optional. Passing is mandatory. Okay.
Rabbi, this 2 months after the building of the Beit HaMikdash, but 3 months after the first Nevuah.
Yeah.
I got some written stuff here.
What do you got there? Oh, yeah, those are mine.
Any more written stuff behind you? No.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is the Abarbanel on Sefer Zecharia. B'yoyim esrim v'arba la'ashtei asar chodesh ad ra'isi halayla. Okay. Hine re'ei hanavi, the Navi sofid lahagvil zman lenevuasai, to give a set time. Lenevuasai zois. Im min hayamim shahaya esrim v'arba l'chodesh, whether it's the days, umin hachadashim, or the months, shahaya chodesh ashtei asar. So it's telling you the day, it's telling you the month, right? And like you pointed out, it's also telling you the name of the month. V'gam kina Shem HaChodesh Ahu Shavat Ma Shaloi Asa Chagai B'Nevuasav. Chagai never did this. Ki Tamid Amar Levad B'Chodesh HaShishi Oy B'Shvi Oy B'Tshi Mebli Sheichane Es Echad Me'achadashim Ahema B'Shem Ois HaChadashim Asher Alu Imam Mibavel. Very important. The Navi Chagai never told you the name of the month. He just told you the number of the month. Either he said the 6th, the 7th, or the 9th, but he didn't tell you the name that they used when they came up from Bavel. Now I want to tell you something very interesting. Again, right? You hear what the Abarbanel is saying? Chagai never says the name.
Does it say why he never says the name?
No, first we're just reporting the facts. If you look in the Ibn Ezra and the Chizkuni in Parshas Boy, they mention that in the Chumash, not only is, right, the names are not given.
Just said about Chodesh Sheni or
right.
Shiur. I don't think it.
But the only places where it says the names are Esther, Chodesh Azu, Chodesh Teves, right? Ezra, Nehemiah, Zecharia, Chagai, and Daniel. Okay? If you look in the Ibn Ezra and the Chizkuni in Parshas Boy, they mention that it says the name of the month in Esther, in Ezra, Nehemiah, Zecharia, Chagai, and Daniel.
What's that a different Gersa and Chagai?
In the Sefer HaTishbi, he says that the Ibn Ezra and the Chizkuni, when they mention Chagai, it's a Ta'ah Sofer. Because nowhere in the entire Sefer Chagai is the name of the month mentioned. The Pri Megadim wrote a Sefer called Sefer Noitrikain, and he questions that not only is it not mentioned in Chagai, not only is not, nowhere in Daniel does it say names of months either.
Ta'ah Sofer twice.
In Daniel. Daniel, except the only Sfarim you have names of months, Zecharia, Ezra, Nehemiah, and Esther. Says the Pri Megadim, sometimes writers, in their haste, they sometimes make a mistake. Okay? And I can definitely commiserate with that. Okay. So, but interestingly, here we have the Abarbanel. They don't quote the Abarbanel in this, but the Abarbanel is saying that Chagai never mentions the name of the month. Fine. V'gam hanovi hazeh Zechariyahu b'nevuah rishona b'tchila sifroi amar b'chodesh hashmini aval lo kino isai b'shem teves. He doesn't say the name of the month, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan. He doesn't call it teves. This is probably a printer's error because the 8th month is not teves.
Right. Because the 11th one's a Shvat.
Right.
Which would be the 10th month would be teves.
Right. Why isn't it enough just to say the 11th month? It also gives the qualification that in this nevuah it was b'shana shor b'shnas shtayim l'daryavash. Oy Tashav Torah, you'll also see Shabir B'Zais HaNevuah. Shemai, it says Zechariah's name, B'Shem Aviv, B'Shem Avi Aviv, B'Imrei al Zecharia, Ben Berechia, Ben Idai, Hanavi, V'Yesha Aina Lav Gamkein, Kinei B'Tchilas HaSefer Kfar Kosvu, Yichuso Emalo, L'Zichroi Sheines Pai. Mashalai Asa B'Shan Nevuah. Nowhere else in Sefer Zechariah does it mention his lineage again. Shetamid Omar, Hayadvar Sham Zecharia, Vayidvar Sham Zecharia, Mevli Sheyizkor Sham, Shem Aviv, Lo Shem Avi Aviv. V'hanira Eli B'chol Zeh, says the Abarbanel, it would appear to me regarding this whole issue, Shehanevuah Hazos Gadla Ma'oid Be'enai. This is a very important prophecy. Zecharia Kiraba Eser Maroi Selekim. He saw 10 visions. V'niftechu Hashamayim Lefanav. The heavens opened up. V'ra Kol Ma Shahaya Ased Liyos. And he saw everything that was destined to be Al Ha'uma Me'atoivos V'harois Ad Achros Hayamim. Basically, in this vision, Zecharia saw everything that was going to happen till the end of days. Umnei Kain Amar B'tchilasa Hayadvar Hashem al Zecharia ben Berechia ben Ida Hanavi lahagid, to tell you that why did Zecharia merit to see this amazing nevuah where basically he saw everything that would happen until the end of days? And what's the answer? Shezachus avoisav siyatehu. It was in the merit of his forefathers that assisted him. Uve pirush. Uve prat, and specifically Zechus Avi Aviv Idai, the merit of his grandfather Idai, Shahaya Navi Lashem. V'zeh Heviehu Lahagia Madregasai Lirois Kalamarish Rabbi Nevuazas, and that's what allowed him to see all of this prophecy.
So Idai was a Navi too.
Idai was a Navi. If you look,
we talked about why does it say Hanavi after Idai? So now we know because it's telling us that Idai was a Navi. Idai Hanavi. Because it's Chaya Navi of Ben Brechia Ben Ido, but it's on Hanavi.
Yes,
modifying Ido.
The Radak in Pasuk Aleph said there's a well-known personage, Idai HaChoyzeh, and in the Medrash it's called Idai HaNavi, who may be that person. Okay, but we're not finished yet. So basically, why is it repeating his lineage? To teach that this was a very important prophecy, and the only reason he was zocheh to this important prophecy is in the merit of his forefathers. V'lachein k'moshe b'tchilas hasefer nichtav yichusa k'dei ladas mihu, maybe it should say zacha b'nevuah hashenes hazois nichtav. Okay, next inyan v'yata tira, and you will see now shebiyoim esrim v'arba lechodesh hatshi yusad heichal Hashem. When was the second temple put up? On the 24th day of Kislev. Where does it say that? By the way, in the English, I think it's a mistake. It's not in. It's in Parak Beis Pasuk Yud Ches. So Chumash Nizkar b'Sefer Chagai Umisham ad Shnei Chadashim Miyom L'Yom Shehem Tisha v'Chamishim Yamim. How many days in 2 Jewish months? 59. 30, 29, 59. Ba HaNevuah Zecharia. Ba Hayezeh L'Hoidia. It's to tell me Shekol Kach Me'ashanim Yom L'Shana Tasmid Malchus Paras. Now we're going to talk about the Persian Empire. So if anyone is in this room from Persia, you came on the right day. Why? Because today we're going to learn how long the Persian Empire lasted from. Anybody know?
14 years.
How long did it Tasmid Malchus Paras Achar Churban Bavel? After Babylonia, how long did Persia last? Kine Malchus Madai Uparas Kvidas Rabbeinu Mashal Yisrael Yud Teshana Lefnei Binyan Abayis. According to Chazal, the Persians overcame Babylon 19 years before the second Beis Hamikdash was built. And the Greek Empire did not begin Ad Arbaim Shana Achar Binyan till 40 years.
59 years. 1 year for each day between the Nevuah and the beginning of the construction.
Yes. So the Persian Empire began 19 years before Binyan Bayesheni and continued 40 years into Bayesheni. So that means the Persian Empire lasted 59 years. How are you going to remember that?
Didn't we learn 34?
I don't know. We did?
Yeah, and then I wrote down for Yavan was 180, Chashmonai was 103, and Hordus was 103. Altogether it's 420 for Baishani.
As opposed to what?
I don't know.
39 years of what?
At the end of Chadai.
Say that again. What?
34 was Paras, Yavan was 180, Chashmonai and Hordus was 103 each. Altogether it's 420 for the Baishani years.
One more time. It's 34 Persia.
Yavan 180, Chashmonai 103, and Hordus.
So we had 19 years before. By I would say it said 53. According to this, it would be 53.
He's saying the Gemara. I don't know. The Gemara does not count. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah does not begin to count the Greek Empire until the 40th year. Hineim Kain, Nikra Shem Paras Aleim Tisha v'Chamisha Shana Kaidem Abayis. That means.
No, 19 years before the Bible.
Nikra Shem Aleim 59 years. Kaidem Abayis uvifnei Abayis. Before and during. Ulefish and Nebuazos Raha Navi Chorban Malchus Paras. Since this is a prophecy about the downfall of the Persian Empire, Bier Shahais and Nebuazos Zois Shnayim Chadashim Shleimim Miyayim Liyayim. 2 complete months, day to day, Achar Sheyusad Heichal Hashem, after the Temple of God was founded, Shehem Tisha v'Chamishim Yom, which is 59 days. Kemispar Hashanim Sheyasmin Malchus Paras, the number of years that the Malchus of Paras would last, Ad Sof Yimei Daryavesh. Okay, so far so good, beautiful. So now we're learning why this prophecy was exactly, why the day of the prophecy was given, in order to calculate 59 days from when the Beis HaMikdash was put up. And you would recognize every day corresponds to another year of the Persian Empire. Now, why does it say Chodesh Shvat? The answer is because the word Shvat is not only a name of the month, but it also means something. What does Shvat mean? Shevet, a staff of punishment. Umat Toiv Amr Chodesh Shvat Sheheid Bazeh Sharab Nevuasa Inyan Alexandros Mokdon, Alexander of Macedonia. Shahaya Hashevet Hamakab Paras, who was the staff that eventually punished Persia. Ubavar Shahaisin Vuasai Roimezes La'isai Malchus, and because this prophecy alluded to the Malchus of Alexander, Amar Bishnas Shtayim L'Daryavesh, because it was regarding Daryavesh, and in his days Persia fell. Now, why doesn't it say outright that Persia will fall and Greece will take over? The answer is because if you're under the Persian Empire, you don't want to publicize
that you're not going to last.
You're endangering yourself. Okay? Because they were under the Memshal Paras, and there was a great sakana.
This Daryavesh, the second or the first? The
Second.
So he says that the Persian Empire fell during Daryavesh. That Daryavesh was still the king 40 years later? I don't know if he lasted that long. Right? Didn't you just say that the Persian Empire is going to fall under Daryavesh?
That's what he says. His empire fell. Did the Persian Empire fall completely? I don't know. Okay. And then the Abarbanel says something very interesting. If you look in the whole Chumash, nowhere does it say the names of the Jewish months, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, right? But we know the Ramban says in Parshas Boy that these names came up with them from Bavel. Why did they take them out of Bavel? Why would they use Babylonian names? After all, some of them are even gods of Persian gods, Tammuz. So the answer is, Ramban says, that there's a pasuk in Yirmiyah that talks about that when Hashem takes us out of Bavel, we're no longer going to say God who took us out of Mitzrayim, but rather the God that took us out of Bavel. In order to commemorate the redemption from Bavel, we recall that by using the Babylonian names. But as Abarbanel, isn't this a violation of the pasuk? HaChodesh hazeh lachem rosh chadashim, Rishon hu lachem. Hashem wants you to call Nisan 1, Sivan 2, Iyar 2, Sivan 3. So by using the names of the Babylonian months, you're violating the command of the Torah to refer to it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Says Abarbanel.
Then we have the machlokas. If we didn't use their names, you have Rosh Chodesh Lilanim, you have Rosh Chodesh Chadashim, you have 4 different Rosh Chadashim.
The Rosh Hashanahs.
Just using just the numbers, you're going to get confused as heck. Where are we going to start from? You have to have some other indicator.
Okay. But Abarbanel wants to know, is using the Babylonian names...
Rosh Chodesh, we have Rosh Hashanah on Aleph Nisan.
Okay, but he's saying to use the names of the Babylonian months of the year, that's a violation of HaChadosh HaZalachem. So he says, no. Kinei le'matzana b'Torah v'navim shemos l'chadashim. Ki em rishon v'sheni v'shlishi v'chein kulam b'misparam kamishbad. Uvilvad b'zeh ha-sefer. The only exception to this rule is Zecharia and Esther and Ezra. Rabbi say, he very correctly does not list Chagai and Daniel, right? Many of the later authorities think that in fact Nehemiah, Zecharia, Esther, Ezra, they made a mistake by calling it these names, and it's an Avein Plili Lefishat Torah Lo Tzivsa B'Shem Sachadashim V'Avhu Shu Avein Plili. But the answer is, the Torah never told us what names to call the months. The Torah just gives it numbers. Mm-hmm. And some authorities write they did this based on Yirmiyah, who Hashem told them. Says Abarbanel, they didn't need Yirmiyah to tell them to do this. They didn't need Hashem to tell them to do this.
That's like the ones that I redacted Esther, right?
Yeah.
They could have changed it, but they didn't.
Yeah, and he brings down some writers, some Mefarshim say that they acted incorrectly. But Abarbanel says, no, I think they did the right thing. Because all the Torah says is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And do you see anywhere here where they're giving a different number system to the months of the year? No, Nisan is still 1, Iyar is still 2, Sivan is still 3. All they're doing is, they're adding Avokino Achadashim B'Shemus Loy Nimna Minat Torah V'loy Ba'alav Tzivoy V'loy Marmeli Yirmiyahu. They maintain the number of the Torah. The only thing they're doing is they're calling it Shvat and Kislev in order to recall that these were the months of the year that the Babylonians and the Persians used. Okay, I want to tell you something very interesting. Again, we mentioned the Ramban says that the names of the months of the year were of Persian and Babylonian descent. In fact, the Ramban says that up till this day, in Persia and in Media, they continue to use the names of these months. Now, I was never in Persia.
The Hebrew names.
Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, these are not Hebrew names.
I mean, I'm sorry, right.
And, says the Steichemed, this has an afkamina lahalacha. And that is, some people have a minhag, they don't get married in the month of Cheshvan. So you don't get married, but Rabbi, you got married on Beis Cheshvan. I got married on the second day of Cheshvan. What do you mean?
It's Mar Cheshvan, it's bitter.
Well, some people say that's why. There's a minhag not to get married in Cheshvan because it's called Mar Cheshvan. Mar means bitter. So says the Steichemed, and by the way, it's even brought down the Shas Tshuvas B'Tzel HaChofma of Rav Betzalel Stern. There's a valid minhag not to get married in Mar Cheshvan, but the Steichemed says it's not a reason. Because if Mar Cheshvan was of Hebrew descent, then you could say, oh, in Lashon HaKodesh, Mar means bitter. But the word Mar Cheshvan is not a Hebrew word. It's a Persian word. It's an Aramaic word. And in Aramaic, Mar does not mean bitter. Mar means mister. Like Amar Mar in the Gemara. And therefore, there's no reason not to get married in Cheshvan. Especially because it's right after Sukkot. Otherwise, you have to wait another month, which is highly problematic. So you're better off getting married on Beis Cheshvan, like I did. And also, you have an advantage if you get married on Beis Cheshvan. Erev your wedding is Rosh Chodesh, and you don't have to fast. So there.
I got married Hanukkah.
What?
I got married Hanukkah.
There you go.
But I also didn't pay taxes on the basis of being a joint because I got married in the end of December. You could claim tax for the whole year.
All right. You're always a step ahead, right? Okay. But I want to tell you, the Bnei Yissaschar writes, Bnei Yissaschar says in Ma'amorim Chodesh Nisan, Maimer Aleph, Oisvav, that even though these names are of Persian and Babylonian descent, they were definitely Neskabel at Har Sinai. How do I know they were Neskabel at Har Sinai? Because if you look in the Targum Yerushalmi on Esther, or you look in the Targum Yonasan on Parshas Noach, there, even though the Torah only says the number of the month, the Targum says the name of the month. Now, the Targum, the Gemara says in Megillah, was Misinai. So obviously the names of the month must have been Misinai. So now the question...
If it wasn't Misinai, would they have allowed it in the Nach?
Well, we assumed the Ramban says it's only because it's to be Mekayim, the Pasuk in Yirmiyah, to remember that Hashem took us out of Bava. So now the question is, if they are indeed Misinai and they're not the names of Persian gods, so what do these names mean? Right, one time we saw from Rav Nachman and Breslov, Tammuz, right, what does Tammuz stand for? What does Tammuz stand for? Tammuz stands for Zman Matan Torah Seinu. That in fact the Torah was given in Tammuz. How is the Torah given in Tammuz? Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Luchos on Tammuz. Also it stands for Zichru Torahs Moshe. So the question is, what do these names stand for? So there's a sefer called Sefer Asufos from the grandson of the Raviyah. And he gives the names for all the months of the year. Nisan. Shabai Nasu Nisim Li-Yisrael. Nisan is the Lashon of miracles. Iyar. By the way, Iyar, Chassam Sofer writes, you know what Iyar stands for? Ani Hashem Reifecha. I am Hashem, your healer. Why? Because in the month of Iyar, it was a preparation for Matan Torah, where Klal Yisrael was healed. Okay, Iyar means avir, ear, right? Why air? Because the air is not too hot and not too cold. It's the only month of the year that no one's complaining about the air conditioning and the heat over here, right? Every other month, even I didn't say anything, right? Okay, Sivan. Sivan is Shabai Nitnu Torah B'Sinai.
Samach Yud.
Samach Yud Nun.
Samach Yud Nun.
Tammuz. It's very hot in Tammuz. In the Cheskel it says, Perek Ches Pasuk Yudalez, Noshim Mevakois Es HaTammuz. Tammuz is the burning. Or in Daniel, Maziyah is the burning. Av. Av is the lashon of Aviv. The shaft, the kernels. That's when the harvest is. Elul. Alala. That's when they crush the bundles of the Tua. Well, the Rishon Zalman Auerbach also says Elul is, it says, V'yasuru es Eretz Canaan, the Targum says, V'alelon. Elul is the lesson of spying out. You have to investigate your actions in Elul. Tishrei. Oz HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mashre Avanoisem Shal Yisrael. Hashem sort of forgives them. Hashem dismisses them. Sharoi V'kayim. Chemar Cheshvan. Why? Lashon of Rachash Libi Davar Tov. That's when the Beis Hamikdash was completed. Kislev. Kismole. The pockets are full. It's a rainy season. It's good for Parnasa. Teves. Teves means good. Like the Gemara says in Tainis. Tava l'shaita de Teves min avalta. Teves, it's very rainy. Shvat and Adar. He doesn't say the reason for it. But Shvat, we already saw one of the meaning. But if you look in the Sefer Yakira Yerushalmi, he brings a Medrash Chayfetz. Shvat is a lashon of Shevet, that the rain falls like a arrow. And Adar is a lashon of Adir. It's a great month. Adir. That's the month that Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Okay. So now we proceed. Should we learn a pasuk today? Okay. So the Sefer, so that's pasuk Zayin. That's why we know it was on the 24th day of the 11th month, and it tells you the lineage. Ra'isi halayla. I saw the night. V'hinei ish roichev al sus adaim. There was a man riding on a red horse. V'hu oimed ben hahadasim. He was standing among the myrtles. Ashar ba'metzula, that was in the pool. V'acharav, and after him, susim adumim, red horses, surukim, colored horses, ulavanim, white horses. So obviously this is a very mysterious prophecy. Says Radak in Pasuk Ches, Marois Zecharia Sesumos Ma'od. The visions of Zecharia are very mysterious, very ambiguous, very unclear. Kamarois Daniel, like the prophecies of Daniel, V'loi Kein Marois Shar Hanavim, as opposed to other prophets. Why? Why are the prophecies of Zecharia so clouded and shrouded? Ki kayach hanavuah hoysa hoyleches v'dala miyimei hagoyla. Because the power of prophecy was diminishing. Lefikach lo be'eru es devreim. Therefore, his words are not explained. V'hivinu hamaros kashrehim. It was not completely understood. V'amar ra'isi halayla v'maros halayla. The Abarbanel does not agree with the Radak about this, because Abarbanel says Chagai and Malachi also prophesied the exact same time, and we don't find that their nevuos were as shrouded in mystery. So the Abarbanel says the reason why Zechariah's nevuos were so shrouded is because, like we mentioned, he was zocha to have nevuah, a tremendous nevuah, until the end of days, and that's why it was shrouded. He prophesied about the same topics as Daniel. Okay, so what exactly is this red horse? Who's the man? And what are the three horses after him? Says Rashi. Rabbi Seinu Pirshu Masha Pirshu Be'agadas Chelek. Chazal in Masechta Sanhedrin Adaf Tzadi Gimel, they explain it their way. Ach ein seder Parsha v'aloshin Mesyashiv by. But their way is not really that great. It doesn't fit in so beautifully into the Psukim. So Rashi is not satisfied with the Pirush of the Gemara. Now let me tell you what the Gemara says. The Gemara says in Tzadi Gimel, Amar Rav Yechanan, Ma'idich Sev Ra'isi Halayla V'hinei Ish Roichev Al Sus Edoim V'oimei Ben Hadas Masher B'Metzula. What does it mean the night? God wanted to destroy the world, turn it back to night. Who's the man riding on the horse? Ein ish ela hakadosh baruch hu. The man is God. Shenemar Hashem ish milchama. Who's the red horse? God wanted to make the world turn into blood. And who saved the world? Kivan shenastaka b'chanani mishav Azariah. Hashem saw the great merit of these three great tzaddikim. Neskarara daitoi shenemar v'oimei ben hahadasim asher b'metzula. And what are hadasim? Three tzaddikim. Shenemar v'hi oimein es hadasa. And what's the metzula? Bavel.
No, Rashi likes this or doesn't?
Does not like it. Shenemar ha'omer letzula. So immediately all the anger, the red horses turned into white. So we see from here that if you see a white horse in your dream, it's a good sign. So Rabbi, I'm giving you a good aid. So don't count sheep when you go to sleep. Count white horses. This way maybe you'll see a white horse in a dream, and it'll be a good simon for you. Okay. Srukim. That's a very good question. What srukim is? Rashi says, Lo yadati. I don't know. Rashi says he doesn't know what color it is. The Malbim says,
well, your rope would be backwards.
Minukadois b'chama gavanim. Different colored dots. What? Streaks? Different streaks.
Tie-dye horse.
Okay. Now, let's see Rashi's pshat. Rashi says the ish is a malach. Al sus edoim. It's a remez that Hashem is going to punish the Babylonians, the Medians, the Persians with the sword and with blood. And then And who's going to carry this out? The three horses, the red, the streaked, and the white. And they are all primed to carry out God's mission. So this, according to Rashi, is a prophecy about the fall of Bavel, Madai, and Paras. However, the Radak learns differently. According to many Mefarshim, this represents the fall of the four empires, but only three of them are discussed over here. And that is because the fourth empire, Rome, was still far off. So the red horse is a remez to Nebuchadnezzar, who's called the Golden Head. Who's the man riding on the horses? The Malachim, who rule over what's happening down here. So that's why the first horse, you had the Malach on, because that showed Bavel had already fallen. And then after that horse, you had three other horses. And the first one is red. That represents Nebuchadnezzar's son and grandson.
Where do you know three from? It says Susim, Adumim.
Adumim, Sukim, Levanim. Red.
Right, but Susim, that could be multiple horses of different colors. It doesn't say Shloshis.
It could be, but without any number given, you assume the minimum. So one is red, that represents Nebuchadnezzar's children. Sruchim, striped, that represents Persia. And Levanim represents Greece. However, the Abarbanel learns that this all refers to Alexander the Great. Now, maybe you remember the legend about Alexander. That how did he become ruler? There was a horse that no one could tame and no one could ride, until he had the bravery to climb on that horse, and he was able to exert authority over that horse, and that's how. So the man on the horse is Alexander the Great, and who are the three horses after him? Remember when we learned Daniel, your favorite Navi? It broke up into how many? Four. So why only three horses? Because one of the horses, one of the breakups was his daughter and children, so that we don't count. That's him. The other three were what? The Seleucid kingdom, the Ptolemean kingdom, the Antagnian kingdom, but his own family was not listed as one of the four. And with that great musical conclusion, we will end today's learning.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.